of mine. Nothing that you say I wouldn't endorse and wouldn't enthusiastically be behind. My concrete question to you would be, who's the conductor? And I use the word conductor intentionally. Not one of the guys who's playing the violin or the trumpet or the drum or the bass. Who's the conductor? Because the biggest problem with any form of change management, and I say Six Sigma and Lean are actually a crossover between change and process management and quality management. All of these great initiatives kind of smack in the face of classical hierarchical thinking. They don't usually have full integration in the hierarchical structure of a line organization, which exists whether or not we claim that it's dead. It's never going to be dead. It's always the underlying thing that we have to compete with. Who's the conductor? I'm going to go one step back. For Disciplined Agile, and we haven't even gotten there, we won't be able to get there, but I think we feel it a little bit, is a wonderful large compendium of principles, tools, frameworks that can revolutionize your organization. Let's put that as a cliffhanger out there. But it has an incredible depth. Who is the depth owner? Who's the conductor? Who's the one who knows that who can facilitate, maybe is the better word. It's I don't think it's classical leadership in the sense that one person says, we're not going to use Scrum anymore. But who's the one who understands the big picture and facilitates and pulls the strings in the background so that Disciplined Agile can evolve the way it's intended to? That question make any sense?
I think it depends on your scope. So if your scope is a team, then I would argue it's the team lead or some sort of a coach, prodding everybody. But if it's an organization, then I would say if you have COP, communities of practice, communities of excellence, they're supporting your evolutionary.
Are you a big fan of the whole guild, tribe, squad concept?
Sure. It's great terminology. It's new terms on old concepts like OEs and COPs. And we talk about that in DA, right? Like, so we tried to have agnostic terminology as much as possible, which is why we use terms like iteration rather than sprint, because sprint puts you in a Scrum mindset instantaneously. We use some of the older terms like communities of practice and communities of excellence rather than tribes and guilds and whatever else, right? So
which most people don't understand anyways, but.
No, well, yeah. And do they understand COPs? I don't know either, but so fair enough. But but we were clear, right? It's like, if you want to call it, want to call your COPs guilds, great, have at it, right? Who cares? Use the terminology that makes the most sense for you, and be prepared to evolve it when your situation changes. But I think but you really do so this is one of the things in DA is that those mechanisms were explicit, right? So we had with these, if you look at the big diagram, there's hexes, right? Which we call process blades. So there was a transformation process blade, which brought up different ways, which described different options for doing these transformations and adoptions, and brings in concepts like COPs, COEs, and many other things. There's a strategy process blade as well, which is more about the overall strategy of the organization rather than just like a transformation or evolution type of thing. But it's still important. So there's many aspects. So if you look at the big process overview diagram, there's many aspects of the organization that have little to do with software development. Now, they're obviously marketing is, there's a marketing process blade. It's obviously supported by software, and it's supported by the overall IT infrastructure, but it's certainly not software focused in any way, unless you're a software firm. But so I think there's some very explicit aspects of DA which are just blatantly not software. There's the foundation layer along the bottom of think about the diagram now. Along the bottom,
there's a great graphic in the book that doesn't explain 100%, but from a visual perspective, kind of gives you overview of the scope. It's right at the beginning of the book. It's on page 11. Can kind of hold that into the camera. This kind of
and that's the very diagram I'm talking.
mind map, structural, I don't know, cheat sheet to kind of see the moving parts.
Yeah, and we push you to the the PMI site for great gory details behind the diagram.
Yeah.
And if you go to the site, you can click on or at least I don't.
Actually, that's what Joshua started unfolding all his not Miro, his mural mind maps. So we're gonna deep dive on that when I talk to him.
So you can click on the hexes, and then that will take you to the
it kind of breaks that. But let me get back to the question, because I think I'll be letting you off easy. You gave me a fair answer, but it didn't quite answer my emotional need. Mark, did you want to take a shot at it? My question was, who owns it? Because to use one of my favorite, I originally, when I went to college, I was pre-med, then I was political science, and then I eventually went to business. And one of my favorite words I learned in history and in political science was the term realpolitik, right? There's a way that we think the world works, and that's idealistic and great, and then there's some real factors that we have to contend with. And I think one of the greatest marketable weaknesses of a great idea like Disciplined Agile or anything, lean, PMO, is you need real leaders that often have to lead without formal authority, but that makes it even more challenging. Who are these icons? Because you said your answer, Scott, was, well, from a grassroots perspective, it could be whoever's facilitating your team, but from an organizational perspective, let me throw a suggestion. Is it a value management office, or go ahead, Mark?
It's kind of like that. So maybe it would be helpful to explain the kind of ways we have worked with organizations. Yeah. So we go in kind of like an executive consultant.
Yeah. But executives are not going to do the work.
No, I know. But this is how we get the gig: is we come in and we say, we're going to help you move to more agile organization. But by the way, we're going to need your support. It's probably going to mean that you need to change your PMOs, how you do governance, how you do funding, how you staff your teams. And so we're that person to come in. And by the way, pitch for it's, unfortunately, PMI doesn't market it, but we wrote I think a very good executive guide, very short read that explains this process. And so we've got a number of tools in the toolkit as a transformation coach. And one of them is called Moving From, Moving To. Think of 2 columns. And then we help move the executives through decisions about, okay, I know we're here right now, but as an organization, we move from here to here.
I'm going to be rude, Mark. I love what you're saying, but I really want our audience to hear 100% what you're saying. So is it okay if we rewind a little bit, and we'll start off with my original question, who's going to lead, and maybe we can combine it, because I think what you're saying is kind of a roadmap. Right? You're talking about kids. One of the questions I really want to entertain, and I think you're perfect for this, is in your consulting work, when you're trying to implement a disciplined agile mindset or structure or framework within an organization, what does an organization have to do, and how do you help them? What's kind of the process there? Because I think you'll answer the question, who leads in that process.
Yes. So this.
So what's step number one? I'm sorry. I really want to, for our listeners, they sometimes just want to kiss.
Okay. Well,
I know that
you're not going to be successful in the large unless you have executive support.
Yeah. And the key message is you start at the top, because that's where the power is, and you have to get some form of acknowledgement and mandate to make a system change.
You don't have to start at the top, but it's a lot easier. Like some people will start bottom up, and then they hit a ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Bottom up only gets you so far.
You can do some grassroots stuff, but if you really want to change the organization, you have to.
You need money, and it's a multi-year effort. So Mark mentioned our executive guide to DA book. A lot of that information got captured in the Transformation Blade online on PMI.org. So Once again, if you click on, if you go to that diagram you showed in the book, you click on transformation, then it takes you to the great routine. So
those resources are available to anybody who wants to kind of deep dive on that.
Yeah, it's all available free of charge at PMI.org. And something Mark talked about is actually well documented on the site.
But I'm guessing step 2 or 3, besides getting a mandate from upper management, is to recruit some players, right?
Yeah. So in the transformation blade, there also is a roadmap, which is context sensitive as well. And because different situations require different transformation strategies, right? So one of the things about DA is it's a bit of a fractal in this level of it's fractalish in this level of thinking, right? Because the answer to the question is always it depends, and then we go, well, it depends on this, and so the transformation strategy, the roadmap, is actually gives you multiple paths to get to the end goal, because everybody, and you mentioned earlier KISS, everybody wants, just tell me the route to get from point A to point B. Right?
I want to thank you.
Once again, I'm going to use the word stupid. That is just stupid, right? Because when you look at it, because that's not a roadmap, that's a trail guide, that's a trail, right? A real roadmap, in reality, has many, many different ways to get, almost always, to get from point A to point B, right? So when I want to get from my cottage to my house, or vice versa, there's some roads that I'm just committed to, because to get out of the cottage, you got to go on. There's only two ways to do it. But once I'm on the highway, I could, go straight shot to get home. I could, go off into a wild adventure, go antique shopping or whatever. Right? So there's, many thousands of different paths that I could take to get home. Well, the same thing for transformation, right? So there's a real roadmap, gives you multiple options, and you want to take the best options for you. Like, do I want to get home fast? Boom, I'm taking this way. If I want to go antique shopping, I'm going to go like this. If there's an accident in the road, I'm going to do whatever Waze tells me to do. So that's the thing, right? So in the transformation blade online, free of charge, is this logic, which basically pretty much came out of the executive.
Yeah. So
Mark, here, before you say it, don't forget what you're going to say, Mark. Just one thing. Can you guys pull the curtain real quick? Because I've got
you're being blinded.
I don't, but I look kind of.
Yeah, I know there's just weird light on your face, but that's okay.
The big one, that one, yeah. That's more. There we go. Okay.
So part of what's
thanks. I don't need too much of a halo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
First, what Scott is saying is, part of the context is what is the scope of the engagement? So, and we worked with dozens of clients over the years, and some big, some small, and sometimes the person who brings us in is a director of a program or a set of projects, doesn't have the scope to affect the PMO or the budget or the political pull. So now, it's a different kind of engagement. Now we're talking about optimizing individual teams to be successful within the restrictions, which are often non-agile restrictions, but you got to make it work, right?
Yeah.
Other times I get carte blanche, and you go into Papa John's and he says, we'll fix our finance, we'll fix our HR, we'll fix our marketing and our IT.
How did you get, Papa John's is not a small organization by any means.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get that kind of endorsement from upper management?
Well, it didn't take me any time at all, because the CIO brought me in from having done the very same thing at Panera.